Live from clickorlando.com, this is News 6 at 5:30. This is a News 6 Plus takeover. Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate.
So glad you are joining us for another fantastic edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. This one will not disappoint. I know we hype things up a lot around here, Matt.
Whoa.
Particularly Matt.
You hype things
Matt.
I'm kind of chill and laid back. She's a little bit of a hype artist.
They say there's certain things you talk about that everyone is impacted by, right? And today we're going to talk about one of those things that is just so frustrating for people. And I'm talking about drivers, in particular bad drivers. Again, talking about Matt. Hey, I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Wow. Okay, I'm Matt Austin. It's going to be one of those shows today, I can tell. But so we are talking about some of the crazy things you see on Florida roads, and there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. And so to do this, so at a lot of TV stations, they have a traffic person, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's a traffic person. Well, we have a traffic person who is like one of the stars around here. Yeah. People talk about him. He's an interesting cat. He's law enforcement. He's former military. I mean, this dude is an interesting fella.
Some would say he's good looking.
Some of the ladies aren't complaining when he's on the TV. So Trooper Steve Montiero, he's on our morning show, and he guides you through the day. And we just he's one of our favorites. And so we're finally getting him on the podcast. And we've got some pictures and some interesting things to talk about. First off, Steve, so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
No, it is awesome, especially to be here with you two. Come on, I watch this podcast through and through almost every time it comes out. So it's pretty exciting. And I remember texting Matt one day while watching it. I was like, I need to get on this show with you two, because it is just, you never know what's going to happen. And we get the opportunity to talk about things that everyone wants to talk about, but they don't really have that place to talk about it. When Ginger was bringing up the traffic, it's like, there's not a person in Central Florida who's never not been frustrated at some point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Constantly. Okay, so you've been doing this for more than a minute now. And I remember the day you came, we were talking about, I think you were working for, what is it, FHP? And you came in to talk about something after a storm or whatever. And as soon as you were on, everyone's like, that guy.
Why isn't that guy on TV?
Yeah. And here you are right now. And, through our booking process, meaning we just walk into another room and ask you, will you be on our podcast?
We don't even ask. Hey, you're on our podcast.
Be there. So we're so happy you're here. Steve, talk a little bit about, we like to joke and laugh and talk about how bad drivers are, but it really is something that is dangerous, something that we've seen getting a lot worse here in Central Florida. Why is that?
Well, Ginger, I think part of it is we look at driving as very routine. We look at it as part of our everyday lives. So in kind of reaction to that, we become very complacent with what we're doing. Most of us don't realize that driving will be the most dangerous thing we ever do in our lives, unless you're in the military, a first responder, or something like that, where you're intentionally putting yourself in danger. But we report on it every single day. And I do think, like Matt, what you said, I appreciate that, man. Like, what we do here is so different when it comes to traffic safety. I've investigated thousands of crashes, but I think the scary part is I've also written thousands of tickets. Not everyone's going to be excited about that, but to actually be there and to understand it. And I think where my passion comes from, and maybe even some of the sarcasm that shows up on the morning news, is I know that every crash is 100% avoidable. And it's something that I try to talk about. It's that conscious decision that when you get behind the wheel, you're going to just choose to be safe. I'm not asking you to sit there and shut the music off and be a statue in your car, but we can do this a safer way if we talk about it.
You want to get to what we really came for. You do a segment on the news called What the Honk.
I love
it. I know you want to call it something else, but because it's TV, it has to be honk.
My daughter said, why don't they call it What the Truck? I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I was drinking my drink and I was just lost it.
So we have some prime examples of things that are honkable.
This doesn't even make sense. Is there a person in this car, or are they just straight parked here?
So what you got here is basically, someone who feels that they don't have to walk in the rain, maybe made of a little sugar, and the passenger pulled up onto the Winn-Dixie curb here and put their Scion, I think that is. I like to call that the toaster oven car, and pulled it up on the curb there so that their passengers can hop in. You don't know on the other side here, there's just so much groceries, and they're loading in right there. You can't see it, but the sign says, please, no skating, parking, or driving on the side.
Wow.
People walk there. You're not supposed to drive.
Not today. Not today.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but yeah, that
insane.
is definitely a honking.
That's definitely a person who would drive on the shoulder to get to where they needed to go.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of duct tape too on their bumper. So who knows?
Yeah, well, gee, I wonder how that happened.
I thought it was you at first.
We've got a Tesla with a horse on top of it.
It's searching for horsepower because
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
that's the number one joke everyone had on it. But
Yeah,
this is
that's pretty
408. This is 408 westbound right there at Crystal Lake. It is a roped full-size toy horse on the top of this Tesla, and what's weird is that tag is a transporter tag. So the driver of that car does not even own that Tesla. It's probably a dealership that is just using that transporter tag to bring that horse somewhere. Yeah.
That's a good it's a good dad. I think it's a good dad in
Good
there.
dad. No violation here, simply because it appears properly secured with a lot of ropes.
There's a lot of ropes around. It's like a bondage
Insane.
horse on top
Can
of
you
it.
imagine this driving by you?
No, that's, I mean, you're distracted. I would end up in that Tesla's trunk. That's what would happen if I saw that on the road, because you're staring at it.
This
Next up.
one, I mean, I don't know what could go wrong. I don't know what could go wrong here. Like, this seems totally
Something has
safe.
already happened to this man.
Okay.
Someone hurt him.
I'm just gonna lay on
Someone
it.
hurt him.
I'm just gonna lay across it.
This is insane.
It's crazy.
Guys, so if you
Are we
look
allowed to
super
laugh,
close,
Steve? Can we laugh at
No,
this?
I laugh it up because he deserves every bit of it. Like, okay, so this is 100% illegal.
Yes.
This would be improperly secured. You cannot stand in the bed of a pickup truck. Believe it or not, here in the state of Florida, we allow it, but your butt needs to be completely seated.
I see his butt.
Yeah, it is just showing to us and not in where it's supposed to be. This was a target down in South Florida. Someone sent this to me. A viewer actually in South Florida watches us on News 6 Plus, was like, oh my gosh, I love the What the Honk segment. Check this out. And that's off of Palm Beach down there. So I started to see a lot of this during Black Friday originally. I saw 2 TVs, 48 inches on the hood of a Toyota Corolla, and someone on top of that hood holding it going down Hiawassee.
Is that just wood he's holding on
What?
to?
That is just about 10 pieces of 2x4s right there. Don't know what he's going to do with it, but they all may not make it back.
Man, he might not make it back. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
take the
so
coffin out.
I want to do one more. Steve sent us a bunch of great ones, and we're going to have you on to
God.
have the rest and the future ones. But I want to show one that is my absolute pet peeve on the road. This one that he sent.
You and I may share this.
Blood boils. When you miss your left turn and you
just missed
decide
it.
that because you're an idiot, the rest of us have to wait behind you while you take up both lanes, like, I lose my mind, Steve.
I will sit there and break my horn if I have to on something. Sorry, Ginger. I will deputize you so you can come write me a ticket for it. But no, wait, let's not, because you'll write me a ticket. But this is, I say this is my phrase, like, don't make your mistake everyone else's problem. How hard
Preach.
would it have been to pull a U-turn at the next intersection? Improper stopping, impeding the flow of traffic, $164, 3 points on your driver's license because you're a dummy. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm Matt, brother, I'm there. This is number one traffic issue for me in my book.
Yeah.
Ginger?
I'm going to point out that he's driving a truck, so he has the right of way.
Ginger's always making excuses for him.
No, I like this because now I'm going to include a segment one day like Florida's driving rules by Ginger. Like she has
Oh, it's
all
going
the
to be a mess.
It's
all the
okay
fake-
because
all
you're
the
in a
fake
rush.
Florida rules.
Nobody
okay,
else
you're headed-
matters. It's all right.
Oh, you work at Disney, it's fine. Or you work in downtown, sure, do 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
No,
Trooper Steve, we
Those
need
are
to make this an hour episode in the future. So good
okay.
having you, my friend. We appreciate you. I appreciate your passion for what you do, and you do a great job of it for us. And I know a lot of people in the community. Ginger, I don't know about you. I get stopped all the time. I really like that Trooper Steve guy in the morning. So
I appreciate that, guys.
Keep it up, buddy.
You're the first name I'm going to bring up if I'm ever pulled over for anything. I'm like, hey, I know Trooper Steve.
I'm friends.
Well,
yeah, if you're watching this podcast,
just
say I'm friends with Trooper Steve. You can't give me a ticket.
Most troopers know who I am. There are a lot of new ones that are like, you're that guy I heard about. And I'm just like, just remember my car, man. Just remember my car. Guys,
Trooper
I really
Steve.
appreciate you guys so much.
Always good having you, my friend. Thank you so much.
From bad drivers to expensive tolls, stay with us as we explore why some people are paying up to $300 a month in tolls, and if there's a chance they could ever go away.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. You know, Ginger and I, we love this state. Bottom line, it's beautiful. I even love the humidity. I love the weather. I enjoy the people, the beaches.
Okay.
There's one thing though, Ginger, that just
Love bugs.
I can't even speak. I just want to. No, it's not love bugs. We talked about that before. No, I love the gators as well. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. No, tolls. We are like the king of tolls. Crazy stories and tolls. In fact, a city in Central Florida is the most tolled city in America. We found out from our guest this week, Ginger.
Yeah. You know, our guest is going to break down exactly what these tolls are and why they cost so much, particularly here in Central Florida, in the Orlando area, where they happen to coinkydink have all the theme parks. So we're talking about Dr. Jim Clark. He's a UCF history professor. Jim, so glad that you can join us. This is a story that has really taken a toll on all of us, as you can see.
That's terrible.
What did you expect? It's me.
Welcome to the show, Jim. That's what she does.
Jim, talk about, you know, because I think you were the person who pointed this out. It's like, why in the world are we seeing so many tolls? When I think of places that, you know, charge you a lot of money for tolls, I think of the bigger cities like New York, New Jersey, places in the Northeast corridor, you know, but not Florida, and certainly not Central Florida.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, you think of these like the New Jersey Turnpike. You've heard about that all your life. You may never have been on it, but the Pennsylvania Turnpike, the same way. These are iconic highways. And when somebody says toll roads, you think of those, not Florida. But first of all, Florida leads the nation. We have over 700 miles of toll roads in Florida, and Orange County leads the nation. We have 156 miles of toll roads in Orange County. Think about that number. I think Houston is next with about 120. So we're number one.
We're number one.
No,
we're number one. So, and not only that, some of these trips, Jim, are exceedingly expensive. Like you have some trips laid out that are like, you can go across town for like $7 one way. Like that's more than that's an Uber.
Yeah. And you know, for people in the you know, working for the attractions, making $15 an hour, $200 or $300 a month is a tremendous hit. And otherwise it takes you forever to get where you're going.
Okay, so Jim, let's back up a little bit to help explain this, because when I was growing up, I didn't grow up in a place that had tolls, but when I moved to a larger city and they had tolls, it was my understanding that, oh, they put this toll in because it's a new road and it's a way to help pay for this new road. And once the road is paid for, then we're going to get rid of the tolls. What is the point of the tolls right now? Because it seems like they're adding more. They never go away, except in Jacksonville, I think. So what are those tolls used for, and will they ever go away?
Well, you know, the problem is that in Central Florida, we keep growing, and the East-West Expressway Authority keeps building new roads. And that shows absolutely no sign of stopping. These things are going to continue to be built. They need money to build them. And remember, Florida has no income tax, no inheritance tax. So we're trying to get by on a dime here when we need $1. So these toll roads aren't going anywhere.
So is that the reason, Jim? Because we are considered a low tax state, like you said, with the income tax. There are some really nice reasons to live in Florida, especially if you're a rich person. So is this our comeuppance? We get to pay a crap load of tolls? Is it just unavoidable?
Yeah, it goes back to World War II. During World War II, we were the least populated state in the South. South Carolina, Arkansas, all had more people than us. And then suddenly in the 1950s, we became the fastest growing state in the nation. Our population increased by more than 75%. We needed roads. We didn't have any money. And so we began this toll road business, whether in Jacksonville on the bridges, whether it's the Florida Turnpike or the East-West Expressway Authority. All of these things needed to be built. Think how scary it would be if there was no East-West Expressway. Think of all those cars on Colonial Drive, which is already packed.
Yeah. Okay, so do you know why Jacksonville got rid of its tolls?
Yeah, people hated the tolls.
What?
As they do.
Wait, is that all it takes? Hate?
I love the tolls.
But back in the 80s, I think, a guy ran for mayor on a platform of getting rid of the tolls, and he won, and they substituted a half a penny sales tax. And the voters approved him and the sales tax, and all of the tolls went away. Again, though, if we were to get rid of tolls, can you imagine what the East-West Expressway Authority would be like? It would be a nightmare. It's jammed now. Yeah. Imagine if it was free.
Yeah, so you're saying, okay, and I get this because I take the 408, the East-West Expressway, 4 times a day. I come home for dinner. I'm on that thing for hours of my day. And I'm just going to be a little transparent here. I spend in the neighborhood on a normal month about $300, anywhere between $250 and $300 a month just on tolls, which is just maddening to me.
Can't imagine.
It's crazy. Ginger doesn't spend any of that because she's smarter and lives closer to work. But so now the governor has made a big change, and you have to give him credit to anybody who's in my position who takes the tolls a lot, because they just cut that in half by 50% if you use more than 35 transactions or something like that. But that's only until the end of the year. Obviously, our governor saw what that Jacksonville mayor was seeing, that, hey, this is a pretty big deal to voters. So this is tapping into something politically. Is there a way that this could maybe change if it gets enough steam and politicians realize, like, hey, this is a pretty big issue to voters?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I don't know, do we want to keep growing? Do we want to keep building more roads? And do we want to raise taxes? I think these are all part and parcel of this highway situation. And here in Orange County, remember, we not only have the east-west, but we have the turnpike. And of course, you can go right from the east-west to the turnpike.
And the 417 and the 528. Little hack if you're on the 408 and there's traffic. Something like last night, I took the express. You got a little e-pass. You can kind of go off and skip past the traffic there and go into the toll lanes. I think that's legal. Is that legal? If not, we're going to edit that out.
You just told on yourself.
But I never see a person in those booths when I do use that little tactic, which I don't do very often. So, Jim, where do we land on this?
Yeah, I think we are stuck with toll roads forever. We have tremendous debt to pay off, and we're still building. So as long as Florida keeps growing, we're going to have these toll roads.
Thank you. Yeah. This is another edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. I hope you come back.
Bye.
Thanks, Jim. You're the best, man.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.